Christine with A Naturally Balanced Dog. I am the food specialist there. And today we are going to be talking about a topic, which is allergies, why dogs have them, and what we can do to help. And my guest today is Tanya Christensen from Must Love Dogs. Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, I'm good. But before we get started, for those people who are on Facebook, if you would please just give us a little heart or something like that, just so we know that you're there and that you can hear us. And if you are on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind just hitting the like button and hitting the bell. And if you hit the bell, you'll be notified of future live events. So we had to kind of get that out of the way, to make sure that in the future that we can continue to grow the channel and offer some great information for people and so forth. Excuse me. Again, today's topic is going to be about dogs and allergies. And so I'm just going to start with saying that back in 1987 was one of my first dogs that I had. And she suffered terribly from allergies. She had a lot of skin conditions. And she was like a lot of skin and coat, hot spots, scratching and itching all of the time. And surprisingly, what they prescribed back in 1987 is still the same thing that they prescribe for dogs today, which is a prescription limited ingredient diet and usually medication. And so I've learned quite a bit over the years. And so I'm glad to have Tanya here because we get to kind of share information as to our experiences with our own animals. We both are in the pet industry. And so we get an opportunity to talk with other professionals and kind of get some great insight that hopefully we can share today. So Tanya, if we could, before we really dive into the topic, if you could just introduce yourself, who you are, and what it is that you do, and maybe share what it is your passion is.
I would love to. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Tanya Christensen, and I own Must Love Dogs in Grand Haven, Michigan. It's a dog boutique, and we specialize in feeding for health and longevity. We've been open we're working on our 16th year, and wow. I'm a certified pet food nutrition specialist, and we do a lot of consults through the shop. We have a couple of other certified specialists on staff as well. I believe that I was created and put on this earth to make dogs live healthier, happier, longer lives, and in turn making their people healthier, happier, and also live longer lives. So that's my passion and my purpose.
That's great. I got to share. And so how I came to know Tanya actually is a while back is we both adopted our dogs from the same rescue. And so that's kind of how I came to know who you are. I think what happens is as you're kind of surfing that particular breed and you follow the rescue, I seen your name pop up a couple of times and I'm like, she's a friend of mine on Facebook. And so I, went onto your Facebook page and noticed that, that you were also in the dog business, as am I. And so that's kind of how I traced back to you and wanted to invite you. Plus, I believe that you're also in some of the groups that I'm in as well. So, but anyways, so you have a store. Mm-hmm. And what is the, when people come in, generally, I imagine there's a couple of kind of categories that you have as people come in, that you see people, your dog's over there scratching right now.
I know, I'm like, stop.
The frequency people that come in regards to symptoms of allergies?
So many. I would say maybe if people are coming in regarding an issue that they're wanting help with, I would say 80% of my customers um, have allergies or sensitivity symptoms that we're having to deal with. And unfortunately, um, it's becoming uh, to where it's almost normal. Like,
Right.
you know, dogs just, that's just what dogs do sometimes. And that's not true.
Yeah. One of the things that I look at in working with dogs myself from a day in and day out is how allergies can actually affect them mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because if I'm working with a dog from a training aspect, it's really difficult to be training a dog that's constantly scratching at themselves and they can't maintain focus because they're, if you've ever had allergies, I had allergies as a kid. Sometimes I have some adult allergies. Sometimes it can make you kind of spacey.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
you ever have that experience?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in not having allergies myself, but I would liken it. I would think it would be like, you know, taking cold medication. If you're having to take allergy medication, you just might not be with it or be able to focus or you know just live life to the fullest. I think there's a lot of things that kind of stand in the way when you're suffering from allergies, depending on the severity, of course. But yeah.
Right. And so, what are the steps that you usually kind of walk through with people that kind of come into the store and they're describing some of the symptoms that their dogs are having? And so, where is it that you kind of what is the direction you usually lead? What did you learn? And
Well,
you lead
what
them.
Yeah, absolutely. What I generally start out with is what I start out with is explaining to them what allergies really are, and they're the symptom of a bigger problem. They're not the actual problem. And it's typically an immune system issue where the immune system is not functioning properly. And there's so many ways and reasons why it's not functioning properly. So instead of masking or managing symptoms, I try to guide them into working with the foundation of what's wrong. So what typically where we start out with is I've got notes, so please forgive me. I don't want to forget anything. It's so important. Um, um, Allergies can be they can be food related, which is typically a food sensitivity. It's not technically a food allergy, but then they can be environmental. We focus on strengthening and building the immune system. So so the causes of allergies are multifaceted, and I know that a lot of my customers want to go and we all do. We all want an easy answer. We want to go, we just need this supplement and everything will be right as rain and we'll all just live happily ever after. But unfortunately, that's not the case. This is a very um, um, multifaceted, complex issue that we're dealing with that have many causes. Um, some of the causes are things from genetics, and we can look into epigenetics where they could be genetically predisposed to have allergies, but their environment will trigger these allergies to present themselves. If they were in a different environment, they may never present themselves. And a lot of that has to do with I'm a firm believer in diet. I personally feed my dogs raw. It is a commercially prepared raw because I think you have to be, well, I, I don't know that I could do my dogs justice if I had to create the raw myself. And everybody has their lane and has their comfort level, and we all just do the very best that we can. So my dogs are raw fed. I believe that moisture content in the diet is super important. Dogs were created to have a species appropriate diet that consists of about 80% moisture. And unfortunately, processed kibble has about 10 to 15% moisture. You can put, you could put 10 water bowls in your house. But if your dog won't go to them until they're thirsty. And if they're feeling thirsty, they're already dehydrated. So the moisture is the way that a body removes toxins, and without the appropriate hydration, the body just can't function like it's supposed to. Lack of sex hormones, that can actually be an issue in triggering some underlying genetic issues. Now, this is a hot button topic, so we're just going to touch on it briefly because, but I recommend for my dogs, I wait until they're 2 years old and they're fully sexually mature before I spay or neuter. Now, naturally, this has to be in a really responsible setting. We don't want any accidental litters. I am in rescue. I've been fostering for 25 years, so I understand the importance of responsible pet ownership and spaying and neutering.
I think
But
though, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say, but I think that is responsible because without, which is a completely different topic that maybe I'll be able to find a vet or somebody that will come on and talk about that. But coming from the same standpoint, I think that it is responsible to be able to allow your dog their hormones in order to function properly. I think that there's probably studies and a lot of information out there as to, by neutering and spaying at such an early age, what that can actually do health-wise to our dogs as well. So I'm kind of right there with you. I usually allow my dogs to go through 2 heat cycles before I have them spay. And males, particularly if it's a larger breed, the recommendation is 2 years before you have them neutered. So and I rescue too. But with that being said, I do have some dogs that I've gotten through breeders and whatnot. And I do find that that is an important part of the health protocol of your dog. So, but anyways, continue.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the support.
Yeah, I totally get, I totally get it. And I think a lot of dog people will understand that. So, yeah.
So another cause of allergies can be leaky gut or gut trauma. Leaky gut is caused by, and again, here we are with a myriad of different things, and it's typically a toxin overload. So highly processed foods can cause leaky gut. And what leaky gut is, where things pass through the lining of the gut, and then the body expels them through itchy skin and body odor and mucousy ears and eyes and stuff like that. So um, let's see, did I miss anything? Nope. I think I got, because I was trying to kind of outline the causes, like why do my dogs have allergies? And naturally, as dogs, it's more common as time goes on. 20, 25 years ago, we didn't have as many allergy issues as we do now.
Yeah, we didn't. And I think part of that is also because of the food chain has changed so much. And so back then we didn't have genetically modified foods. We didn't have the soil depletion. The quality of our food was much different. And so I think that definitely plays a part into it. Not only that, you have generation upon generation of dogs on kibble diets or dry food or highly processed diets that break down their immune system and their health over a course of time. And then with each generation, we're not really strengthening our dog's overall well-being. It's becoming to be more diminished, which I think is kind of sometimes why we see so many dogs now with allergies. And the other thing I think is important to kind of point out is an allergy versus like an intolerance or a sensitivity. What would you kind of summarize that as?
Well, I feel like most food sensitivities are just that, sensitivities. An allergy is like when somebody's allergic to peanuts and they eat a peanut and they swell up and have to have, a shot to bring them back. So our dogs' sensitivities to food are just that, they're sensitivities.
Right. which can be a challenge for people because, I think, and I'm in the same, again, when you have allergies, it tends to be an immediate issue. You will immediately see a reaction if your dog is allergic to something, as opposed to a sensitivity that over a course of time, all of a sudden something pops up, and it's really hard to identify exactly what it is that the dog is having sensitivity to. And so that becomes very problematic. And so what are some of the things that you recommend when it comes to supporting the immune system and helping to rebuild? Because I think for any allergies, the same as humans, because I come from working with in the health industry from the human aspect. Back in my earlier years, I know that when people would come in, there were always certain things that we always recommended. And the first thing was always to build the gut. You needed to have the probiotics, the enzymes. Those were the things that that you started. And I don't really see that is much different than what we do for our dogs today. I think that's where we begin, is trying to rebuild the gut. Would you agree?
Yeah. I absolutely agree. That's the very first thing we always recommend when we're dealing with any kind of allergy or sensitivity, because it ultimately is an immune system issue. And most of the immune system is located within the gut. And if we can have a healthy gut, we have a better chance at reducing or eliminating the allergy symptoms. So we typically will recommend a high quality probiotic, and prebiotic is super important too, because a prebiotic is what feeds the probiotics. And if you don't have enough food in the gut, then some bacteria may die. And it could simply be the native bacteria that were already there in the dog's gut, which are super important. It's really interesting to learn that, puppies as well as human children have a certain set of bacteria that they get from their mother, and the first round of antibiotics kills it off, and they will never regain that again. And thank God for antibiotics in the right time and place and situation. But as we all know, if you're watching this video, you probably know that there's an overuse of antibiotics, and we just need to be really more careful and cautious about that. So we recommend, the probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes. We also recommend other immune support. It depends on what one's budget allows. But we do things like mushrooms and other immune support supplements that just help keep the immune system strong and balanced. And balanced is the key word. In life, diet, everything, balance is crucial. You can have too much of a good thing, and so you just need to make sure that you're not overdoing it, I guess. Yeah. And then we move to diet. Diet, if I had my way, diet would be first, because probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes can be part of a healthy diet. But oftentimes, whether it be financial restrictions or lifestyle restrictions, apprehensions for whatever reason, people may choose to remain on a dry processed kibble. And that's why probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes are first. But diet really is the key to health on all levels. So we recommend a whole fresh food diet, preferably raw. If you're uncomfortable with raw, we can do like a gently cooked, but it contains the appropriate moisture content. It's 80% moisture, just like dogs should have. It allows all the organs to function properly, including the liver and the kidneys. It's critical. Dogs generally pass from cancer, liver, or kidney issues. And I firmly believe that the liver and kidney issues are due to lack of hydration for their entire lives. The organs can only
on a processed, right, on a processed dry food. And so adding to the diet things that are high as in pre and probiotics, being, for example, fermented foods. Are there like specific foods that you would recommend to add into a diet to help increase the healthy bugs in the belly?
Yes.
So what are some of the things that people can go and shop and look for
Well,
food wise?
yeah. So I there's some commercially prepared fermented foods. Um, uh, that the food in itself is fermented, and there's raw fermented goat's milk, raw fermented bone broths, or I say raw like it's bone broth, um, fermented bone broths. You can actually make your own if you want to. You can do your own kefir or kefir, potato.
Right.
um, Kombucha. I don't, some of you may not be familiar with kombucha, but when you brew kombucha, there's an organism called a SCOBY. And
SCOBY.
yeah, and it's what ferments the green tea and makes it into kombucha. And sometimes that SCOBY gets really huge and thick, and you can actually take it and feed it to your dogs. You can take, it kind of forms in layers like pancakes stacked up. So you can actually, pull a layer off and cut it, or,
Right. And so you can share those little scobies with people, like, but how does one grow one? Because is there like a kit that starts it, or do you got to get it from somebody? How do you start one of those?
So
I'm just curious.
I got mine. I joined a Facebook group that was about fermenting, and I found a class, and part of the fee for the class was you got a SCOBY. So that's how I got mine. You can actually, like, if you buy grocery store kombucha, sometimes when you're drinking it, you'll get a little. It kind of sounds gross, but a little SCOBY, and you're like, oh hey. But you can start your own batches that way, and it'll grow. But yeah, you can order kits, but I really love the in-person classes. So if you can find classes near you, and I learned how to make kefir, and I learned how to make it with milk and with coconut milk, and so you can make it with all kinds of different things. I just did some kimchi and sauerkraut. You don't want to give spicy things to your dogs necessarily. I mean, I had a dog that really liked spicy things, but um, any kind of fermented food, really. I mean, if it's, of course, void of the typical things that you wouldn't give dogs, like onions and
Right, exactly.
many
Yeah.
spicy things.
And so just really quick, Patty Ferguson says, Tanya helped us with our allergy-ridden pup so much. He actually has hair growth on his bald spot. So, yeah, so that's good work. I mean, and it's just one dog at a time, basically on how we work through that. And so I find with my own dogs, I have 3 dogs, of which 2 have allergy issues. And so my first dog that I was experiencing with, he had a lot of digestive upsets. And so he stopped eating, literally. I was taking him to the vet. We had to do the ultrasounds and, testing and blood work. And they do like an acid bile test and, all of these different things. And there wasn't really anything that was standing out from that standpoint. And then I sent in and did a hair analysis from the test kit that we have off of the Naturally Balanced Dog website. And I sent that in, and it came back, and it gave me a list of all of the things that he had sensitivity to. And so after changing his food and getting him on something that was more healthful for him, because in the interim, I mean, literally, he stopped eating food. So we had to, I was prescribed this, I think it's called Ensure or something like Ensure. I can't remember. It's something of that nature. But you would syringe it in his mouth to create an appetite because he just refused to eat. And so after, I don't know, it was like, 10 days or something like that. And he was just really not eating anything that you have to kind of sometimes take into account, doing something, but he finally worked himself out at where he's eating regularly, he's eating bones. And so, those are like, I've now had him a couple of years, but he has definitely moved into really a great, he looks good. His weight is on, he's eating daily, he's not scratching and itching, and he doesn't get that acid bile and that kind of vomity feeling, and the acid reflux and stuff like that. So knowing what you're working with and what you have to do to make those changes are, like, for me, is kind of like the starting point. I don't think that you can do a lot of different things for dogs, but if you don't know what you're doing, and what you're trying to remove, or what is the dog sensitive to, if you don't know that, then you're just spinning your tires. And so, I've worked with quite a few people where they have had, been into the vet multiple times, have been on raw, and then they give up the raw diet because it didn't make the changes they were doing. But it was like, well, let's do a test and see where they're at, and and then we'll create a diet around that. And that makes a world of difference. I think, that you got to have a starting point. And so those are kind of some of my experiences that I have had. Michelle Allen says, "Good evening."
Hi, Michelle.
And Krista said, "Hey guys." So hello, Krista. Krista was on last week, so thank you so much for joining us again. And Michelle was on the previous week,
Oh,
so
nice.
it's great. It's
like
great
a
to see
reunion.
I know. It's so nice. Thank you guys for joining us. And so when you are working with individuals that are coming in, so it sounds like the first thing, my friend Janet is also, hello, Janet. Also, when you have people come in, the first thing you try to do is get them on something that is gut supportive to help build the immune system, and then begin to structure the diet, and see what you can do. And I like the point that you've made about the moisture. So I never really kind of thought of it that way, because I do think detoxing your dog is very important. Particularly if you're having allergies. Do you guys carry any kind of, I look at things from a human aspect. So when I'm thinking detoxing for a dog, I think of like bentonite clay, they got the SEXT, you got dandelion, and or milk thistle and things of that nature. So what are kind of some of the things that they have, that you sell in your store that people can be aware of product wise?
Well, liver support is huge. The liver is responsible for the histamine. So, and histamines have a lot to do with allergies. So it's really important to provide liver support and liver detox. So we have different supplements in the shop that have some of the ingredients that you just mentioned. We also have, this is Adored Beast. We stock Adored Beast. I don't know if this is going to be in reverse. Let's see. No glare.
I see it. I see it good.
There we go.
Everybody give it a thumbs up if you can read it. But leaky gut protocol.
This is the leaky gut protocol, and there are five different supplements in here that support the liver, heal the gut, seal the gut, soothe the gut, and populate the gut with the appropriate probiotics, prebiotics. And so we've got lots of different things. Sometimes when you do a detox, yeast will die off, and then you get another little bit of an issue. And then we've got the Yeasty Beast protocol from Adored Beast. I wish there was a short solution, but it took, usually takes a long time to get into these situations, and it takes a little bit of time to get out of them. The blood cycles every 30 days. So sometimes people, 7 days later, we all want to see, we're in a rush to make our dogs feel better. But sometimes it does take, a month to 6 months, maybe even longer to be 100%. So you just kind of have to hang in there. And once you start feeding your dog a species appropriate diet, and the body, it has the moisture it needs, the unprocessed, easy to digest food that it needs, it could start detoxing. And sometimes things look a little bit worse before they get better. And
Right.
not to be scared away. It means it's working, and you just have to hold tight, and it's going to get better.
Yeah.
But
Those we used to call the health crashes.
mm,
It's like, your body is so over toxic, and then you start putting the good stuff in it, and then all the toxins begin to release, and they're so over and abundant that you generally feel very flu-like.
yeah.
You can have, feeling the sense of swelling, spacey. And so I imagine, again, dogs fall in the same line when, they have been toxic, and not just based on the food, but
Yeah.
environmental stuff. You're talking about your dog in your backyard and the chemicals that are out there, walking on blacktop, and, the stuff that you have in your house, plugins, the soaps and shampoos, and, all of those different things add to toxicity in your animal, and can certainly cause, um, allergy issues. And then again, when you're doing something healthful, you begin to feel, your dog begins to feel worse. And I agree. I think people get scared, and they kind of back out of that real quick, like, nope, that's not working.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
making it worse. Oh no,
right.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to touch, if you're okay with it, I'd like to
Yep.
touch on some other things that can,
Right.
like, like you started to mention the other things that can add to the toxicity, and also deterioration of the immune system. Um where do we go? So, toxic load. So, speaking of which, um this is a book that every dog lover should have.
Wait.
What?
Wait. Because if we're both going to do it, sorry everybody, but ready, 1, 2, 3, go. Wait. There it is.
So this is the book. It's called The Forever Dog, and it's by Rodney Habib and Dr. Karen Becker, and it goes through all the things that we may unintentionally expose our dogs to, that add to the toxic load. We all want a dog that will live well forever, but we know that's not reasonable. But as long as possible, and not in a happy, healthy way. And so some of the other toxins that can affect the dog's immune system, and the cause leaky gut. And let me preface this by saying I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-over-vaccinating. I believe in puppy vaccines, and then I believe detoxing the liver. I believe in spreading them out, and then I believe in titer testing after that. And a titer test, for those who don't know, is a blood test that shows whether or not your dog is immune to certain issues. And if my dog is immune to something, it is not a good idea, in my opinion, to keep vaccinating for something that my dog is already immune to. Now, naturally, there's the rabies law, and if you want to be a responsible, law-abiding citizen, you may need to do that. But you can do it in a way that you can detox and take care of your dog's body while you do that immune system. And that's another product Adored Beast has. Is it's a product you give when you vaccinate, and it helps remove the bad things from the vaccine while leaving the benefits of the vaccine intact. So vaccines, we've got flea and tick medications, heartworm medications, and these. Now, let me tell you that I am not telling you to do something or not to do something, and I don't want to be careless or frivolous. If you make a decision, you need to research it in depth and make the best decision that you feel comfortable with. But all these medications do add to the toxic load. Herbicides, pesticides, drinking water, if your drinking water has fluoride and chlorine, it can be overwhelming sometimes. And this book is a really good thing to reference. And if you just pick one thing and do that, and then when you're good with that, you pick another thing and you do that.
It's a
do
one step at a time. You don't have to do everything all at once. So you just can take one step at a time. So
Mhm.
those are all really good points. And so I'd like to thank you so very much for coming on. And again, for anybody who is on, please like if you're on the Facebook page so that you can continue to see some the up and coming events. And if you're on the YouTube channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you'll know that when we do go live. My name again is Christine. I am with the Naturally Balanced Dog, where you could visit our website, and there you will find uh, uh, where we have environmental and food testing as well as um, uh, meal plans. And so next week, I am going to be having Brenda from Modern Day Acupressure. However, actually, what we're going to be talking about is the preventing flea and tick and mosquitoes naturally. And so we have the up and coming spring coming. It's the perfect time for us to kind of get together and reassess what it is that we're doing and how we'll be able to help our dogs more on a natural standpoint. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me this week, and we'll see you next week. And Tanya, thank you so much.
Thank you.